So Ken Palm has this Tennessee defense, one of the best in the last 20 years. Does the eye test match up with that?
I think so. As I watch them on film, one of the things that I love about them is you don't really have to help, and they do a great job of keeping the basketball in front. And obviously, why is that important? Because anytime the ball gets by you, now you send help, and then you get in rotations. I see very few times when Tennessee has to do that, and even if they do, you have such tremendous size on that front court that Plavsic, all those guys can erase it at the rim, and so I've been really, really impressed with them on the defensive end.
I think it's the agility of the defense. They can play big, they can play small. They can match up with you if you bring out a smaller lineup. Rick can go with obviously Josiah at 4, or he can go with the 2 bigs. And, to me, especially moving forward, when you get to the NCAA tournament, you've got to have agility. You've got to be able to have another answer to the question. And I think the versatility of their defense, they protect the rim, they run you off the 3-point line, they create turnovers, and then you flip it on the other side. They get to the rim, they can knock down threes, all right? And, they've got to continue to take care of the basketball, but then they get extra possessions on the offensive rebound. So marrying your offense with your defense makes them just so difficult.
Not counting the game coming up on Saturday, just what makes Tennessee such a place that College Game Day can be at and can thrive at?
This is come on now, man. I mean, right. First of all, Fonz and I were just talking about it. I said, Tennessee is one of those places they embrace, and they embraced men's college basketball in the SEC long before almost anyone. So they have great love, great ownership, great passion, great energy. They have a terrific team, an incredible atmosphere. It's going to be an unbelievable environment. So, I mean, you think about this, we're only going to road for 6 college game days. 6. And Tennessee is one of those 6. And basically, we're one of those 6 because they're really good, and there's a great energy and a great passion and a great ownership within the community to support the show. So it's a perfect storm.
And for me, it's my first time here. I'm just thrilled to be here to take it in, especially with College Game Day. And we want to go to venues that, with the best teams and obviously with the best atmospheres. And again, I can't speak to it personally because it's my first time here, but watching as many games that I've watched on film, the atmosphere here is absolutely terrific. And I don't know if it gets much better than the SEC Big 12 Challenge, because Big 12 is regarded right now as the best conference in college basketball. And so we'll get a chance to see many of the great teams in the SEC, including Alabama, compete against what's considered the top conference. And so that's going to add even another layer of intensity to it tomorrow, and I'm excited to take it in.
What helps this Tennessee team make a deep run in the tournament? What keeps it from making a deep run in the tournament?
In my mind, and Seth hears me say it all the time, actually, so we all do this before the season begins, and we pick our who we think is going to be the one of the Final Four teams. And I had Tennessee based on experience, size, Josiah James' ability to be able to not only knock down shots, but to be able to play make. I'm interested to see, once they play against a team that has some size, who ends up being that guy in late game situations that you go make a basket for us. That's the only aspect of it that I'm waiting to see who emerges in that role.
I think the reason they can get to the Final Four and compete for a national championship is because they're an older and experienced team, which if you look at the teams that have won national championships and get to the Final Four, they're not teams that are really relying on freshmen. They're relying on juniors and seniors. They've got an experienced backcourt that can make shots and has made shots. They've got a versatile front court with agility to pull big and small. They've got an elite defensive team. They can beat you in half court. They can beat you in transition. They can beat you off turnovers. And the one negative would be, like what happened with Kentucky, where if you put the brakes on and you made it absolutely a half court, walk it up game, and they're not turning people over, they could pick a bad day to have a bad day. Like all this stuff, I get a kick at all this stuff. Well, Rick Barnes hasn't won the tournament. He's been to a Final Four now. Like it's hard to do that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has built a program that's as good as any in America, and he's built a program, and especially this team, that is built, to me, to compete for national championship. And the other thing that I'm so impressed with their team is they have a great energy about their team. They've got great trust, great respect for each other. You can see it how they interact with each other. You can see how they play for each other. And this is not so popular, but in the world of an economy of college basketball today, with NIL and the transfer portal and everything else, to have that type of culture is hard, and it's really, really hard to maintain. And Rick has a gift of, just go to Vertimax, just go. Coaching his team hard, but loving them up and getting them to care about each other, and that to me is a gift.
People not realize how.
And in that vein, I think Zakai Ziegler is going to be really important. Last year, we pointed out that Remy Martin for Kansas, that his injury would be impactful for them getting to a Final Four and having a chance to win it. And who came off the bench and hit 15 points, some big threes from the corner over there. Zakai Ziegler's ability to be able to use his speed to get in the lane, and he can make an open three, so you have to respect him. He's the guy that I think that in late game situations can be able to make a play for himself or his teammates.
You mentioned Rick and March in that funny conversation. Do you think that's because people fail to realize how many coaches have actually had a tremendous amount of success in March?
It's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, it's just hard. I mean, this 7-game series. This is you pick a bad day to have a bad day. You have a wrong matchup. All those things are difficult. To me, Rick's a Hall of Fame coach. And that's just the way it is. End of conversation. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach because of not a game, but his body of work and the lives that he impacted, and the bridges he built for his players, and the relationships he had, and the games that he won, and the big games that he won. And he's done it everywhere he's been. Everywhere he's been. So, the NCAA tournament, they said the same thing about Jay Wright for a while. How'd that work out? The guys always taking snipes at him. So, Rick is a world-class basketball coach, communicator, program builder, teacher, mentor, and this could be the team that gives him the respect that he, for coaches, the guy that did it for 33 years, for coaches, he's got the utmost respect. I don't know if there's a coach in the country that doesn't say, if you say Rick Barnes, man, that guy is as good as it gets.
What impresses y'all about what Julian Phillips has done in his freshman season?
For me, I think he's been very patient and not tried to kind of force himself on the game. He's allowed the game to come to him. There were times early on when he was playing a little bit of small ball 4, and I thought guys were taking advantage of him. You can see how he's grown in that area. He's got a little bit stronger, and much of it is about more experience than anything, because when you're a top 40, top 30, top 25 high school ball player, when you come in, you bring in a certain level of talent. But what kids don't understand is how hard you have to play at this level every possession. And I remember having to have had the privilege of being one of those guys, and when I got to Notre Dame, that was the one thing that I remembered is you just can't take a play off, because the moment you take just even a millisecond off, somebody goes back door and they score a layup, and all of a sudden you've been in on defense for 28 seconds, and that last little detail that you didn't pay attention to, now someone scores and that could be the end of the ball game. So I've seen him really grow in that phase of the game and not forcing himself on the game and letting it come to him. I've been really pleased with it.
It's a lot of trips to the Vertimax.
Yeah. One more
Look,
question.
college basketball's hard. I mean, for these young kids, it looks easy on TV. All right, the reality is once they get there and learning how to play with other good players and learning how to compete each and every play and learning how physical it is and how to get through screens. And this isn't like EYBL, in the summer. I mean, this is both. That other coach knows what your strength and weaknesses is. They know what they're going to give and what they're going to take away. And except for some very, very few really, really special dudes, there's a transition there that happens. There's a process. I mean, and that process is real. College basketball is hard, and you've got to respect the process, and that's what you're seeing. We're towards the second half of the season, so freshman you play, then you probably hit the wall a little bit, then you unplug, you plug back in, and then all of a sudden you're ready to go. And I think he's in that stage where they plugged him back in, and you see how he's playing now.
Last question, guys.
What makes Texas so good? Why have they been able to continue to have success after the coaching change?
This plays so stinking hard. They play hard. They're physical. They're tough. They defend. They've got a great identity and a great culture. They really do. They're an elite defensive team that defends with great physicality. They got versatility offensively, especially when they play Timmy Allen at 4. Now their Achilles heel is you don't know what you're going to get out of their post people all the time. But they've got 2 guards that can guard and a closer in Marcus Carr. I mean, Marcus Carr's one of the better closers in college basketball. So I'd say the physicality and how hard they play and how committed they are to defend. And they've probably got one thing I spent time up at Texas before the season. You know, obviously the situation with Coach Beard, but before that they got 6 seniors, an experienced coaching staff, and a legitimate buy-in to being together, being in it together. You know, like you see them in their shoot around, they'll walk, lock arms, and they'll walk the court back and forth, chanting together. And those aren't empty words. They buy into that.
And when one of those 2 guys goes out of the game, or sometimes they'll even bring him in, Sergio Rice is averaging 10 points off the bench. So he comes in, now you have a 3rd playmaker out there that you have to be aware of. And so Seth mentioned how good their defense is, but now they become even more challenging on the offensive end because you now have to guard 3 sides and they swing it, and now they can beat you from the wing, that wing, or the top. And so he makes them very different when he's on the floor, either with the other 2 guards or when he subs in for one of them.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much,
it.
y'all.